And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. Today marks 50 years since the release of the Shaffer Report. In 1972, President Richard Nixon ordered a commission to look into the effects of marijuana, spearheaded by former Pennsylvania Governor Raymond Shafer. Now, the end result: in small amounts, cannabis does not harm society and should not result in criminalization or jail time. The Nixon administration did nothing with the results, and marijuana remains illegal on a federal level. Tonight, a man with the Marijuana Policy Project joins The Factor to talk why it still remains illegal 50 years later in some states.
I think it's definitely political because, consistently polling shows that support for legalization is at 69% in Texas. So, and then once, the numbers are much higher when you look at decriminalization as well as medical. It's somewhere in the high 80s for medical. So usually when we look at polls like this, you find decriminalization tends to be 10 to 15 points higher than even for legalization, because not everybody's on board with that yet.
Now, we've had a district attorney, Kim Ogg, here in the Houston area to decriminalize small amounts of marijuana where you're not sending people to jail for small amounts, which would be considered recreational use. Is that at least a step forward here in the state of Texas?
Oh, it's a huge step. And we've seen actions like that in San Antonio, in Austin, and even in places, Williams, I believe it's Williams County, Dallas, they do a cite and release. So they don't actually do a custodial arrest. But then, of course, you still face the possibility of criminal penalties when you go to court. And they are they can be quite stringent, up to under 2 ounces in Texas. The maximum penalty is 180 days imprisonment and up to a $2,000 fine. So, that is those are very, very onerous penalties for something that, over half of Americans have tried, including Supreme Court justices and several presidents.
Now, you guys released a report as well and had several press conferences, including one here in Texas. What did you reveal in those press conferences?
Well, like, for example, we in the national press conference, they talked more of an overview of what was going on in the 19 states that have yet to decriminalize. But specifically in Texas, we looked at any numerous amounts of of facts. Like, for example, in 2019, with only 75% of law enforcement reporting this to what they call the UCR FBI Crime Data Explorer, there was 43,000 arrests in Texas for possession of cannabis. And I mean, that is an incredible number.
Kevin, are we differentiating between recreational use and those who may be selling it, or all those numbers jammed together?
Yes, a simple possession charge. We at Marijuana Policy Project define that as an ounce or less, but under Texas statute, it's 2 ounces or less. But if you were selling it, you would be being charged with possession with intent to distribute.
Mm-hmm. So what's next for those who support marijuana here in the state of Texas? Obviously, you have to reach your lawmakers, but what if your lawmakers not willing to even listen to this?
Well, I mean, that's, if I'm not mistaken, I think y'all have elections coming up. So I think it's important when voters are engaging with people running for office that they ask them what their stance is on decriminalization, what it is on legalization, and how they feel about improving a medical program that desperately needs improving in Texas. But, Isaiah, I want to finish one thing up that we just hit on. And we talked about the arrests in 2019, but in that same year, only 42% of violent crimes were solved in Texas. Only 16% of property crimes resulted in an arrest. And that there was a backlog at the state forensics lab of over 6,100 rape kits. Mm-hmm. And I think that when we're looking at at these arrests, we also have to remember that, you know, an arrest keeps an officer off the street for multiple hours, anywhere from 3.5 to 6 hours. So the citizens of Texas are really losing out on a lot of protection from law enforcement with their the vigor in which they enforce prohibition. So I'm sorry to go back a step on that, but I wanted to make sure that people just recognized, and then at the same time, recognizing the fact that very often the enforcement of prohibition causes a lot of problems, particularly with communities that are hard hit by enforcement. And we know those are communities of color. Those are communities where people are, you know, the working class and poorer Texans. And, you know, we also see the racial disparities in arrests. And a Black Texan is 2.6 times more likely to be arrested for cannabis than their white counterpart. And even at that point, they have to, you know, the use between the two groups are roughly equal. And using federal data to define what a white person is, we also have to remember that that includes Latinos. Mm-hmm. So I think when you're looking at the disparities in enforcement, that is well understood in these communities. And so I think it causes a lot of problems in police community relations. And I've always had a strong felt belief that decriminalization helps build trust in the community with the police as well as the criminal justice system in general.